Rain lashed against the glass storefront as black SUVs screeched to a stop outside the jewelry district. Doors flew open. Kang Min-Jae stepped out first, his polished shoes hitting the wet pavement with a sharp confidence that made everyone nearby instinctively lower their gaze. Two of his men followed closely behind, scanning the street for threats. They were chasing a traitor who had stolen from his organization, and Min-Jae was already in a dangerous mood. "Check every exit," he ordered coldly. "Yes, boss," Han Jin-woo replied immediately, moving to coordinate the perimeter. But then Min-Jae stopped walking. Something inside the jewelry shop across the street caught his attention. First it didn't register. Then it did. His eyes narrowed. Through the glass window he saw her, Amahle Mokoena, his wife, standing at the counter of a pawn shop, her shoulders trembling slightly as she held something in her hand. Min-Jae's expression tightened. "No!" he whispered under his breath, almost like the world had slowed down. Amahle placed the item on the counter. A diamond ring. His wedding ring. The same ring he had placed on her finger when he married her. The jeweler examined it, nodding, typing something into a calculator before pushing a thick envelope of cash toward her. Amahle hesitated. Her fingers curled slightly, like she didn't want to let go of the ring even after she had already made her decision. Then she took the money. Min-Jae's jaw tightened so hard it hurt. From where he stood, it looked exactly like what his mother had always warned him about. "She's like the rest of them," Chairwoman Kang's voice echoed in his memory. "She will take everything you give her and still ask for more." Amahle wiped her eyes quickly, turned away from the counter and walked out of the shop, straight past him. Without seeing him, without knowing he had watched everything, Min-Jae didn't move. Jin-woo approached cautiously. "Boss, should we follow her?" Min-Jae's eyes stayed locked on Amahle's back as she disappeared into the rain. "Yes," he said quietly, then colder. "Make sure I see everything she does." That night, Min-Jae sat in his private office, staring at the ring placed carefully on his desk. The same ring Amahle had just sold. The same ring she had promised meant forever. He poured himself a drink but didn't sip it. Instead, he spoke to Jin-woo without looking up. "How long has she been planning this?" Jin-woo hesitated. "Boss, there's something you should see first." Min-Jae's eyes lifted slowly. "Speak." Jin-woo placed a folder on the table and opened it. Photos spilled out. Amahle entering a hospital. Amahle speaking to nurses. Amahle sitting beside a small child in a hospital bed. Min-Jae frowned. "Who is that child?" "We're still investigating," Jin-woo said carefully. "But she visits her almost every day. No luxury spending. No meetings. No suspicious contact." Min-Jae leaned back slightly, but his expression remained hard. "So she hides it," he muttered. "Of course she does." Jin-woo frowned. "Boss, it doesn't look like hiding. It looks like care." Min-Jae shot him a sharp look. "Care?" He stood up suddenly, knocking the chair back. "People don't marry me out of care, Jin-woo. They marry me for money, power, protection." His voice dropped lower, more dangerous. "And my mother was right." Jin-woo didn't respond. Min-Jae picked up the ring again, turning it between his fingers. "Find out everything about that child," he ordered. "Everything." Meanwhile, across the city, Amahle sat alone in a small hospital corridor. Her eyes were red. She clutched the envelope of cash tightly in her hand. Inside the room, a small voice called out weakly, "Amahle Uni." She quickly stood up and forced a smile as she entered the room. Yuna, a little girl with pale skin and fragile hands, smiled softly despite the tubes attached to her arms. "You came back," Yuna whispered. Amahle sat beside her and brushed her hair gently. "Of course I came back." Yuna looked down. "Did you get enough money this time?" Amahle paused. A lie almost came out, but she couldn't do it. She nodded slowly. "Yes," she said softly. Yuna smiled faintly. "Then I can stay longer, right?" Amahle's throat tightened. She forced another smile. "You're going to stay forever." But as she said it, her hand trembled, because she knew she had just sold the last thing of real value she had, her wedding ring. Back in his office, Min-Jae stared at the surveillance photos again. Something didn't feel right, but he refused to admit it. His phone buzzed. A message from Jin-woo. Boss, the hospital says the child's treatment is extremely expensive. Amahle has been paying for everything alone for months. Min-Jae froze. His grip tightened on the phone. For a second, something unfamiliar flickered in his chest, but he crushed it immediately. No excuses, he said aloud to himself. She still sold it. He stood, grabbed his coat and walked toward the door. Follow her again tomorrow, he ordered, then paused. His voice dropped slightly. And don't let her see you. As he stepped out into the night, he didn't notice the small crack forming in his certainty, but it was there, and it was growing. Amahle sat quietly by Yuna's bedside long after the hospital lights dimmed. The machines beeped steadily, almost like a weak heartbeat trying to hold on. Yuna's small fingers curled around Amahle's sleeve even in sleep, as if she was afraid she might disappear. Amahle didn't move. She couldn't. Her mind kept replaying the moment in the pawn shop. The sound of the ring sliding across the glass counter. The weight of it leaving her finger felt heavier than anything she had ever carried in her life. I'm sorry, she whispered under her breath. Not to anyone in particular. Yuna stirred slightly. Amahle Uni, the child murmured in her sleep. Amahle leaned closer immediately. I'm here. Yuna's eyes fluttered open weakly. You didn't leave? Amahle shook her head. I promised I wouldn't. A faint smile appeared on Yuna's lips. You always keep your promises. Those words hit Amahle harder than any accusation ever could. She forced a smile anyway. Rest now, okay? You need to get stronger. Yuna nodded slowly. Will I be strong like you? Amahle froze for a moment. Then she brushed the child's hair gently. You're already stronger than me, she said softly. But as soon as Yuna closed her eyes again, Amahle's expression collapsed. She stepped out of the room, gripping the wall for support as tears finally slipped down her cheeks. I'm running out of time, she whispered to herself. Across the city, Min-Jae stood in a dim underground facility, watching security footage on a large screen. Amahle entering the hospital. Amahle leaving with food. Amahle sitting with Yuna. Again and again. Jin-woo stood beside him carefully. Boss, she's been consistent for months. Same routine. Same child. No deviación. Min-Jae's face remained unreadable, but his fingers tapped slowly against his arm. People don't stay consistent without reason, he said flatly. Jin-woo hesitated. Maybe the reason is the child. Min-Jae turned sharply. You're defending her now? No, boss. I'm just reporting what I see. Silence filled the room. Min-Jae leaned closer to the screen. Amahle was shown smiling in one clip, holding Yuna's hand as they walked down a corridor. For a split second, her smile didn't look fake, and that irritated him more than anything. Zoom in, he ordered. The technician complied. The image sharpened. Amahle's eyes were tired, not calculating, not manipulative, just exhausted. Min-Jae stared longer than he intended. Then he suddenly stepped back. Enough, he said coldly. I want financial records. Every transaction. Every account. Jin-woo nodded. Already in progress. Min-Jae grabbed his coat. If she's hiding something, we will find it. He walked out, but Jin-woo remained behind for a moment, watching the screen. And quietly, he muttered to himself, or maybe there's nothing to find. The next day, Amahle stood outside a small pharmacy, counting the remaining cash she had left. Her hands trembled slightly. The envelope was thinner now. Too thin. She had already paid the hospital deposit again. Yuna's treatment had increased in intensity, and the doctor had warned her gently that time was running out unless they secured more funding. Amahle swallowed hard and walked inside. When she came out, she held only medicine. Not hope. Not answers. Just more time she wasn't sure she could afford. As she turned the corner, she noticed a black car parked across the street. She paused. The windows were tinted. She stared at it for a second too long. Then it drove away. She exhaled slowly. You're being paranoid, she whispered to herself. But deep down she knew she wasn't. That evening, Min-Jae received a full report. He stood alone in his office as Jin-woo placed the documents on the table. No secret accounts, Jin-woo said carefully. No suspicious transfers. No luxury spending. Everything she earns goes into medical payments and basic needs. Min-Jae didn't respond immediately. He stared at the numbers. Then the hospital bills. Then the repeated payments. Silence stretched. Jinwoo added quietly, "Boss, she even sold personal belongings before the ring." That sentence made Min-Jae pause. "Before the ring?" he repeated slowly. "Yes." Something shifted slightly in the room. Min-Jae's expression darkened again, as if forcing himself back into certainty. "Still doesn't change anything," he said firmly. Jinwoo frowned. "Boss, what if?" "Enough," Min-Jae snapped. Jinwoo stopped speaking immediately. Min-Jae picked up the ring again from his desk. He stared at it longer this time. Then he clenched his fist around it. "If she needed money," he said quietly, "she could have asked me." Jinwoo hesitated. "Maybe she didn't want you to think that she was weak?" Min-Jae cut in. His voice hardened. "Or maybe she didn't want me to know who she really is." He dropped the ring back onto the desk. The sound echoed in the room like a final judgment. Later that night, Amahle returned to the hospital to find Yuna missing from her bed. Her heart stopped. She rushed to the nurse's station. "Where is Yuna?" she asked urgently. The nurse looked up. "She's in emergency care. Complications." Amahle felt her knees weaken. No, she was stable this morning." "She deteriorated quickly," the nurse replied softly. "The doctors are with her now." Amahle didn't wait. She ran. At the same time, Min-Jae was leaving his building when Jinwoo received a call. He answered quickly, listened, then froze. He turned to Min-Jae slowly. "Boss, the child." Min-Jae stopped walking. "What about her?" Jinwoo swallowed. "She's in emergency condition." For the first time that night, Min-Jae didn't respond immediately. Something unfamiliar tightened in his chest again, but he brushed it aside. "Then pay for whatever she needs," he said coldly. Jinwoo blinked. "You want to?" "I said pay," Min-Jae repeated sharply. Then after a pause, quieter, "And keep me updated." He walked ahead into the night. But behind him, Jinwoo watched him carefully. Because for the first time, Min-Jae didn't sound angry. He sounded uncertain. And that was far more dangerous. The hospital corridors were louder than usual that night. Footsteps, urgent voices, the sharp beeping of monitors bleeding through half-closed doors. Amahle ran without stopping until her chest burned. She didn't care. She pushed through nurses, turned corners too fast, nearly slipping on the polished floor. "Yuna!" she called out, voice breaking. A nurse caught her arm. "Ma'am, please, she's in critical care." Amahle shook her off immediately. "Where?" The nurse pointed. Amahle didn't even thank her. She burst into the emergency room doors. Inside, Yuna lay surrounded by doctors. Her small body looked even smaller under the bright lights. Tubes. Oxygen mask. Rapid instructions being exchanged in Korean, she could barely process through the ringing in her ears. "Amahle, Yuni." Yuna's faint voice came through the chaos. Amahle rushed to her bedside, grabbing her tiny hand. "I'm here," she said quickly. "I'm right here." Yuna's eyes were half open. "It hurts." Amahle's lips trembled. I know, I'm sorry." A doctor stepped forward urgently. "Her condition is worsening. We need immediate approval for advanced treatment." "It's expensive." Amahle didn't hesitate. "Do it." The doctor looked at her carefully. "Payment must be confirmed." Amahle froze for half a second. Then she reached into her bag. It was empty. Her hand shook. The realization hit her like a physical blow. She had nothing left. Not even the ring. Not even hope she could sell something else. Her voice cracked. "Please start the treatment. I'll find the money." The doctor hesitated. Yuna's monitor beeped faster. Amahle squeezed the child's hand tighter. "You promised you would stay strong," she whispered desperately. "Don't leave me now." Yuna tried to smile weakly. "You promised to." Amahle closed her eyes as tears fell. "I know," she whispered. And for the first time she had no solution. Outside the room, Min-Jae stood at the end of the corridor. He had arrived silently.
No announcement. No entourage.
Just him. Jinwoo stood a few steps behind, watching him carefully. Through the glass, Min-Jae saw Amahle holding Yuna's hand. He saw the desperation in her body, the helplessness. Not performance, not manipulation, just fear. Jinwoo spoke quietly. "Boss, she's been here since morning. She didn't leave even once." Min-Jae didn't respond. His eyes stayed on Amahle. She looked different from what he expected. Not like someone who took, like someone who was breaking. Inside the room, Amahle suddenly stood up. "I'll get it," she said firmly, almost to herself. The doctor looked confused. "Mom." "I'll get the money," she repeated louder. She turned and ran out again. Min-Jae stepped back just in time to avoid her. She didn't see him. She rushed past, tears in her eyes, hair disheveled, completely unaware of the man she had just shattered. Jinwoo watched quietly. "She's desperate," he said softly. Min-Jae's jaw tightened. Desperate people lie. But his voice didn't sound as certain anymore. Amahle ran through the streets of Seoul like her life depended on it. Maybe it did. She reached a small bank branch, hands shaking as she spoke to the teller. "Lona, please. Anything you can give me." The teller looked at her documents. "You have no collateral left, ma'am." Amahle blinked. "There must be something." "I'm sorry." Amahle stepped back slowly. The world felt too loud, too bright, too final. She walked out of the bank and stood under the cold air, staring at her empty hands. Then she whispered, "What else can I sell?" Silence answered her. That night, Min-Jae returned to his office, but he didn't sit. He stood in front of the window for a long time. Jinwoo entered quietly. "Boss, the child's condition is stable for now, but she needs immediate funding for the next stage." Min-Jae didn't turn around. "Then fund it." Jinwoo hesitated. "With your name." Silence. Min-Jae finally spoke. "No." Another pause. "Do it anonymously." Jinwoo nodded slowly, surprised but careful not to show it. "Understood." As he turned to leave, Min-Jae spoke again. "Jinwoo." "Yes, boss." "Did she come back to the hospital?" Jinwoo paused. "Yes." She returned empty-handed. That sentence stayed in the air longer than anything else that night. Min-Jae's hand tightened slightly, but his voice remained cold. "Then she'll have to explain where the money went." Jinwoo looked at him for a moment, then quietly said, "Boss, maybe she already did. You just didn't listen." And he left before Min-Jae could respond. Later, Amahle sat beside Yuna again. The child was sleeping but unstable. Amahle held her hand, whispering softly, "I'm not leaving you." Even though she had nothing left. Even though the world was collapsing around her. "I'm here," she repeated. Her voice broke. "I'm here." Outside, Min-Jae stood alone in the rain again. This time he didn't notice the cold. He only remembered the look on her face. Not greed, not ambition, just fear of losing someone she loved. And for the first time, he didn't know which version of the truth he was supposed to believe anymore. Rain fell harder that night, like the sky itself was breaking. Inside the hospital, the machines around Yuna began to stabilize, but only slightly. The doctors were still moving quickly, voices low, urgent, controlled. Amahle hadn't moved from the bedside for hours. Her hand never left Yuna's. "You can't sleep yet," Amahle whispered softly. "Not yet, my brave girl." Yuna's eyes fluttered open weakly. "Amahle, Uni." "I'm here," she replied immediately, leaning closer. Yuna tried to smile. "You came back, even when you had no money." Amahle froze. Her lips trembled. She forced a smile that didn't hold. "I will always come back." A tear slipped down Yuna's cheek. "Don't cry." Amahle quickly wiped her own face. "I'm not crying." But she was. Outside the room, Min-Jae stood behind the glass. He had been there for a while. Long enough to hear everything. Long enough to stop seeing what he wanted to see. And start seeing what was actually in front of him. Jinwoo stood beside him quietly. "Boss, the treatment was funded." Min-Jae didn't respond. Jinwoo continued carefully. "Anonymous donor. Full coverage for now." Silence. Min-Jae finally spoke, voice low. "Was it her?" Jinwoo hesitated. "No." That answer hit differently. Min-Jae's jaw tightened. "If she had no money, how did she keep coming here every day?" he asked quietly. Jinwoo didn't answer immediately. Then he said, She gave everything she had. That sentence stayed in the air. Heavy, uncomfortable, unavoidable. Inside the room, Amahle suddenly felt a presence behind her. She turned slowly. Min-Jae stood at the door. Still, cold, watching. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The machines beeped between them like a ticking clock. Amahle stood up slowly. "You're here." Min-Jae didn't answer immediately. His eyes flicked briefly to Yuna, then back to her. Then he spoke. "You sold it." Amahle blinked. "What?" "The ring," he said again, sharper. "You sold it." Silence dropped instantly. Amelie's shoulders stiffened. "You saw." "Yes," he replied. Her voice broke slightly. "And you assumed." Min-Jae stepped closer. "What else was I supposed to think?" Amahle laughed once, but it wasn't humor. It was exhaustion. "That I would sell the only thing you gave me out of love?" His eyes narrowed. "Love." That word felt foreign in his mouth. Amahle stared at him, trembling now. "Do you even hear yourself?" Min-Jae's voice rose slightly. "I saw you take money for it. And I used it to keep her alive." Amahle snapped, pointing at Yuna. Silence. That sentence landed differently. Min-Jae looked at Yuna for the first time without suspicion. Then back at Amahle. "You could have told me," he said quietly. Amahle shook her head. "So you could think I was just another woman using you?" His expression flickered. For a split second, then hardened again. "My mother was right," he said lowly. Amahle went still. Something inside her broke slightly. Even Yuna stirred weakly at the tension. Amahle whispered, "Even now, you still believe her over me." Min-Jae didn't answer. And that silence was worse than any insult. Jinwoo stepped forward slightly. "Boss, the hospital confirmed everything. She has been paying a loan. No fraud. No hidden accounts. Nothing." Min-Jae didn't turn. Amahle spoke softly now, voice shaking. "I never wanted your money." He finally looked at her again. "Then why not ask for help?" Her eyes filled again instantly. "Because I wanted to save her myself. Because I promised her mother I would." Min-Jae paused slightly. That detail landed differently. Amahle continued, voice breaking now. "And because I thought maybe one day you would trust me enough to believe me without proof." Silence. For the first time, Min-Jae had no immediate reply. A monitor suddenly beeped faster. A doctor rushed in. "Her oxygen levels are dropping again." Amahle immediately grabbed Yuna's hand. No, please stay with me." Min-Jae moved without thinking. He stepped forward. "Do whatever is needed. I will cover it." The doctor looked at him. "Payment confirmation?" Min-Jae didn't hesitate this time. "Double it." Amahle turned sharply to him. For the first time, she didn't see suspicion in his face. She saw something else. Conflict. Minutes later, the room stabilized again. Yuna's breathing steadied slightly. Amahle collapsed into the chair beside her, exhausted. Min-Jae stood near the window, silent. Then he spoke, quieter now. "The ring." Amahle didn't look at him. "It's gone. I bought it back," he said. That made her pause. Slowly she turned. He reached into his coat and placed it on the table. The same ring. Returned. Amahle stared at it for a long moment. Then whispered, "I don't want it." Min-Jae froze slightly. "What?" Her eyes were wet but steady. That ring was never the problem. Silence. She stood up slowly, facing him fully. "The problem was you never believed I loved you." That hit harder than anything before. Even Min-Jae didn't speak immediately. Jinwoo quietly stepped back, giving them space. The room felt smaller, heavier. Amahle continued softly, "I sold that ring because I had nothing left. Not because I wanted to leave you." Min-Jae's voice dropped. "Then why does it feel like I lost you anyway?" Amahle looked at him for a long moment, then answered honestly, "Because you were never afraid of losing me." Pause. "You were only afraid of being fooled." Silence. That was the first time Min-Jae had no defense. A soft sound came from the bed. Yuna opened her eyes slightly. "Amahle, Yuni." Amahle immediately turned. "I'm here." Yuna looked at both of them weakly. "Are you fighting?" Amahle quickly shook her head. "No." Min-Jae spoke quietly too. "We're not fighting." Yuna gave a faint smile. Then hold hands. Silence. Amahle blinked through tears. Min-Jae looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly he reached out. Not to control, not to claim, just to touch. Amahle hesitated, then placed her hand in his. Yuna smiled softly and closed her eyes again. Outside, the rain finally began to slow. Min-Jae didn't let go. Amahle didn't either. And for the first time since they met, there was no suspicion between them, only truth. Later, Min-Jae stood outside the hospital alone. Jin-woo approached quietly. "Boss, what now?" Min-Jae didn't look away from the window. "I spent years protecting myself from being used," he said slowly. Pause. "And almost lost the only person who never tried to use me." Jin-woo said nothing. Min-Jae finally exhaled. "Make sure Yuna lives." Jin-woo nodded. "And Amahle?" Min-Jae's voice softened slightly. "I will fix what I broke." Inside, Amahle sat beside Yuna again. But this time Min-Jae returned. He stood at the doorway and quietly said, "I was wrong." Amahle looked up slowly. He stepped forward. "I don't know how to undo it," he admitted, "but I will spend the rest of my life trying." Silence. Amahle's eyes filled again, but this time she didn't look away. Yuna's condition improved over the following weeks. The foundation Min-Jae created in Amahle's name was launched quietly. For abandoned children, for sick children, for those with no one. And one afternoon in a quiet hospital garden, Yuna ran for the first time in months. Amahle laughed through tears. Min-Jae watched her, then gently took the recovered wedding ring and placed it back on Amahle's finger. This time not as ownership, but as understanding. "This isn't proof you belong to me," he said softly. "It's proof I finally learned how to love you." Amahle didn't answer with words. She just held his hand tighter. And for the first time, there was no doubt left between them. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more Afro-Korean stories like this. See you in our next story.